Hi, we had a Mediterranean themed dinner one night and we made what else but falafels, a vegetarian's delight and loved by one and all. So let's get right to the recipe. So what you want to do is take 2 cups of dried garbanzo beans or chickpeas and soak it in 5 cups of water and let this sit overnight. The next morning or the next day, the volume of the chickpeas will almost double in size. You want to rinse it out and let it dry. So once the chickpeas are nice and dry, you want to put it in a food processor ideally, but I don't have a food processor, so I used a blender. So I'm going to put everything in the blender. And next, I'm going to take 1 bunch of coriander leaves. I should have cut it, I didn't, which was a mistake for the blender. If it was a food processor, you could have just put it in. I put in salt to taste. I put in about 2 teaspoons, 1 teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1/4 of a teaspoon of cardamom powder, this is optional, and 1 teaspoon of cumin powder, 1 teaspoon of coriander powder. You want to close up the blender and pulse the mixture, and you want to make sure that you mix it because I'm using a blender here. If you're doing a food processor, you could probably skip this step and it would just process it nicely, but if you're using a blender, you want to mix it up until you have nice consistency. And as you can see here, you want a consistency something like this, but here I still have some large pieces of chickpeas. That's fine, but ideally you would want everything to be well ground up. Next, I'm adding a little bit of asafoetida powder, which is optional, and about 1.5 tablespoon of chickpea flour. If the mixture is a little bit drier, add less of the chickpea flour. If the mixture is wet, increase the amount of the chickpea flour you're adding. And I'm also adding 1 teaspoon of baking soda here. And you want to mix everything together. Now I'm going to start making my balls. So I'm taking a small, smaller than even a golf ball size ball here, and I'm not going to make them into round balls. I'm going to make them into discs because I'm going to shallow fry them. Traditionally, falafels are deep fried. So I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to make them about 1 and maybe 1/4 inch in diameter and about 1/2 an inch or less in terms of width. So I'm going to make these small discs. And I'm going to put them in parchment paper, a baking tray lined with parchment paper. And for the ones that I'm going to bake, I'm going to put just a little bit of grapeseed oil on top of each. And I have my oven preheated at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to put these in the oven for about 30 minutes. Midway through about 15 minutes, I'm going to just take them out and flip them over. So this is after the falafels were in the oven for about 15 minutes. As you can see there, the bottom sides are turning a little bit of golden brown color. So I flipped everything over and these go back in the oven again at 425 degrees for about 15 minutes more. And this is what they look like after 15 minutes. They're nice and crunchy on the outside. For the ones I'm going to fry, like I said, I'm not going to deep fry them. Here I'm using a little bit of grapeseed oil, just enough to shallow fry the falafels. So once the oil is heated up, you want to put in the discs, the falafel discs in, and you want to let each side cook for about 2 to 3 minutes or until golden brown. As an optional step here, I'm also putting a little bit of sesame seeds on top of the falafels. This is just completely optional. And if you're doing this, just make sure you press the sesame seeds into the falafel lightly with a spoon. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, you want to flip them over. It becomes nice and brown on the other side. And you want to cook them on the other side for about 2 or 3 minutes more as well, or until the other side is brown. I also like to cook them a little bit on the sides. I just like to that, and they're done. You want to put the fried falafels on a paper towel so it soaks up the extra oil, and that's it. The ones on the right with the sesame seeds are the fried falafel. The ones on the left are the baked ones. As you can see, the fried falafels turns out to be a little bit thicker than the baked ones.
Both are quite crunchy.
But I find that the baked falafels are a little bit drier. The fried ones turn out to be a little bit softer on the inside. So it's up to you how you want to make it. Either way, it tastes great. So how we like to eat it in the family is to put it on a roll up with some lettuce, some hummus on the tortilla, some lettuce, tomatoes, falafel, cucumbers, and some homemade tahini sauce. And I hope you like this recipe. And please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.